All right, my people. So guess what? This morning, after kind of waiting on this November 10th, we are here. And then first thing this morning on the old Twitter, what do we see? What do we see? This is not a misprint. Mortgage rates are starting the day 0.5% lower than yesterday. This matches the biggest drop we've recorded day over day since 2020. So since the COVID days, this is literally the biggest drop we've seen in interest rates. What does that look like? Literally on interest rates, it looks like this, right? So we're on 30-year fixed. Last week we were at 7.25. We were even at 7 3/8 on a national average, right? Not my personal interest rates, because those obviously this is national average. We're in the Bay Area. Our pricing has to be more competitive in the Bay Area, so it's always better than what you're typically seeing on here. But national averages, 30-year fixed 6.67. So yeah, half a point decrease in pricing. As related, it's typically about a quarter decrease in rate, but so you're seeing things kind of starting to tick down. And I don't know if you remember this, but not so long ago there was this little thing with Barry Habib, and he was all pumped up saying rates were going to drop to 5 or even below 5 by the end of the year, and I was like, no way. So
November 10th. It's a day we've had circled on the calendar for months, and we've talked to you about it for months. And as it turns out, we got the CPI report we wanted, and it's a lovely day.
Just want to look at you.
All right. So this is good news. This is good news. So it wasn't like a tease in some way, shape, or form.
Here's why we were so happy about getting to November 10th.
What's up, Barry?
And we
What's
told
up?
you that our
Tell
whole
me.
world's going to change and rates are going to be better next year and coming down.
You said
Here's
that.
why. We've shown you this so many times, and boy, has this come to fruition. Again, nobody does this stuff. We're the only ones who talk about this. Remember in the spring when we told you it's going to be a brutal summer? It's because the 2021 inflation numbers were so low and the 2022 numbers that replaced it were higher. But then we said when we get to November 10th, we got October of 2022 to replace October 2021. And the numbers that we see here that will begin to be replaced are elevated numbers. And with all of the
he said this was going to happen, and he said it was going to cause a shift in interest rates, and rates were going to start going down. Now, my concern is, are we really going to see a decrease in interest rates, or is this just like a freaking tease? You know what I mean?
But good times are ahead, folks.
Good times are ahead.
I want you to stay optimistic out there. Now, we did get some other news, and Jake, please tell us about that. That all those.
We're going to talk a little bit about some other factors, that sort of a thing. He does also kind of share some additional info I think is helpful to know.
And what our modeling is also telling you folks is, listen, I want to just talk to you from the heart for a minute, because I know that it's a scary time for many of you. I know that, right? And my career has spanned a very long time here. So I've seen a lot of these things. And I know, because I was an originator, I know what you could be going through.
Barry's been around.
I just want you to know that
long time
is working here. And what our modeling shows is that the housing market, which has really tight inventory, regardless of what anybody says out there, the facts are inventory is tight. And household formations have slowed because people are hibernating. See 7% rates because of this inflation picture, which drives mortgage rates. We start to get mortgage rates around 5%. Servicing value gets added to the value of mortgages, and they're going to come down faster than the 10-year Treasury will. You're going to unleash a slew of buyers into a tight inventory environment. Show your customers, use that 2-1 buy down, use the seller concession tool.
Is this literally going to lead us right into this crazy March buying session? I mean, is this going to happen? Because think of it. think of November, December 2019. Think of January, February of 2020. COVID was starting to be a thing. The markets were, they were slow. nobody knew what was going to happen. Everyone probably, at least in the business, was freaking out because we could just see that things were not good with real estate and with mortgages. And then in that case, we had the pandemic, right? So we had something that was not natural, that affected the markets. But this time, we may have a more natural buying market where, if you think about it seasonally, March, well, it's around the time people are doing their taxes. It's around the time people are starting to think about moving and preparing to move for the summer. That is the time that people put their homes on the market. It's also the time people start looking to sell, to buy. I'm thinking the spring of this next year, and based on what Barry's saying, we're probably looking at also more favorable interest rates. Could be kind of the best of both worlds, right? But it's also going to mean that there's going to be a lot more competition. So first-time home buyers, are they able to purchase a home when there's competition, or are they put on the bench? A first-time home buyer is not able to buy a home when there's a bunch of competition, because that competition has additional assets, right? Their offer is going to be stronger. They're going to have more assets. They're going to have reserves. They may be able to go over list price. They won't need to request any credits or anything like that. So yeah, that housing market may be a lot better for everyone in March, February, March of 2023. But if you're a first-time home buyer, when's your best opportunity to buy a home? Is it when everyone's trying to buy a home, or is it when no one's trying to buy a home? And think of it right now. If you are listing your home right now, it's November. If you're putting your home on the market right now, or it's already on the market, you've already thought this through and you said, yeah, I'd like to do Thanksgiving and Christmas with a for sale sign in front of my house and having people trample through my house. Like, you're not selling your home because you think it's the best time to sell your home. You're selling your home because you need to sell your home. And so if you're a first-time home buyer, that's the home that you want to buy, the one that needs to be sold because you have some room to work with, right? Remember, when you're buying a home, you have a down payment plus closing costs plus prepaids. So even if you're buying with 3.5% down, it is more than 3.5% down that is required to buy that home. It's going to be about 5.5% total to buy the home because you have your down payment plus closing costs plus prepaids, right? So where's that money coming from? You may have saved up the down payment, but that closing costs and prepaids right now in November and next month in December and maybe in January, you can get that from the seller by negotiating, right? You can request a seller paid closing cost credit and use that to pay for the additional funds that are required to buy your home. If the market starts to pick up and everyone's out there in March, it's not going to happen. It's not gonna, just like it hasn't happened the last 2 years. The same thing with our veteran buyers. Listen, it's Veterans Day coming up, right? And we want to thank and salute everyone that served the country. But if you're a VA buyer and you've submitted an offer, and there's also a conventional loan offer and maybe another offer, the VA offer for the seller, based on the real estate agent's way of thinking, is not the best offer for them to accept. And typically it's because there's additional scrutiny. There's additional scrutiny. The home has to meet certain required levels. It has to be in good shape. There needs to be a termite or pest inspection. It needs to have a clear, in most cases, clear pest, right? And so these are things that aren't required for other financing. And so it's just one less thing the seller needs to worry about. But if they're selling to someone that's using a VA loan, now they have to worry about that, right? And now they may have to provide additional credits that maybe weren't going to be required if someone were getting conventional financing. It just puts the VA buyer, unfortunately, at a disadvantage. It's not the intent. The intent is to help the veteran make sure that they're buying a home that's in good condition. The last thing we want is for our veterans to buy a home and get duped and the home has a bunch of termites, right? So it's for a good reason that it's set up this way, but it's used against veteran buyers in markets where there's competition. Now, there's not that competition right now. November, December, January, every year, it's like this. This is our best time for first-time home buyers and the best time for our VA buyers to buy a home. So if you're a VA buyer, you're a first-time home buyer, and you're waiting for the news to say the housing market has picked up, things are great, that's too late. Like, that's when everyone else is already out there. Like, right now is the time that you need to be buying. So if you want to get help with that, that is what I do. I will help you. Please reach out to me and let's get you some help and hopefully get you into a home. The sooner the better. And per Barry Habib, interest rates are coming back down. So if you buy with a VA loan right now, they have what's called a VA streamline. So when rates drop, without having to re-verify everything, without having to get an appraisal, we can drop the interest rate. It's like that. So guys, it's date the rate, marry the home, right? So let's get into the home now. Yes, rates are a little bit higher, but as we said, right now, rates have just dropped about 1/4 to 1/2 percentage point. So that opens things up for a lot of us. Okay. But don't wait. Don't say, oh boy, they started dropping, I'm going to wait for them to continue to drop. You're doing that while everyone else is also waiting, and then they're going to get in ahead of you and you're not going to be able to buy the home that you need to buy. So don't wait too long. Okay. Take it from me.